Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, dear brothers and sisters. Across the vast cities and quiet towns of the United States, something extraordinary is unfolding, a movement of hearts, a quiet return to faith. Beyond politics, beyond the noise of the media, a spiritual awakening is taking shape, and at its center is Islam, a religion once misunderstood, now rediscovered by thousands of Americans seeking peace, truth, and purpose in their lives. This is the story of Islam in America, a story of endurance, rediscovery, and divine guidance. A story that stretches from the past into the future, told through faith, struggle, and light. The early roots, a forgotten beginning.
The presence of Islam in America began long before the modern era. Centuries before the first mosques rose from American soil, enslaved Africans carried the light of Islam across the Atlantic. Many of them were scholars, teachers, and leaders in their homelands. Men and women who prayed 5 times a day, recited verses of the Quran, and lived by its principles. When they were torn from their homes and brought to this new world in chains, they brought with them their faith. In the darkness of captivity, they whispered Bismillah beneath the stars, clinging to the remembrance of Allah when all else was taken from them. Their courage and belief became the earliest roots of Islam in this land. Though history often silenced their voices, the legacy of those first Muslims endures, a legacy of faith that refused to be broken. As centuries passed, new waves of immigrants from the Middle East, Africa, and South Asia arrived on America's shores. They came seeking education, freedom, and opportunity, bringing with them their cultures, languages, and their devotion to Islam. Together, they built small communities. They rented basements to pray, turned homes into schools, and laid the foundations of what would become America's Muslim identity. Through struggle and perseverance, Islam found its place, not as a foreign import, but as a living, breathing part of the American story. A growing presence. Today, Islam has flourished into one of the fastest-growing faiths in the United States. There are now more than 4 million Muslims across the country. Doctors, teachers, engineers, entrepreneurs, and students, contributing to every part of American life. Mosques stand proudly from coast to coast, from New York to Los Angeles, from Detroit to Dallas. They are no longer hidden. They are part of the nation's social and spiritual fabric. Islam is visible in classrooms, hospitals, media, and even in the halls of government. It is part of the American mosaic, diverse, dynamic, and deeply rooted. But this growth is not just measured in numbers. It is measured in hearts, in people who, despite the challenges, are drawn by a truth they cannot ignore. Every year, thousands of Americans, from every background, embrace Islam. They come from all walks of life: Christians, atheists, Jews, and those who had long felt lost in the modern world. They read the Quran, they meet Muslims, they question what they've been taught, and many find themselves deeply moved by the words of Allah. The search for meaning. Behind every conversion is a story, a moment of clarity, a whisper of guidance, a journey of rediscovery. Some find Islam through friendship, a Muslim co-worker who shows kindness, or a classmate who inspires respect through character. Others encounter it through study, exploring philosophy or science only to discover the Quran's harmony between reason and revelation. And many find Islam through personal crisis, when the noise of the world grows too loud and the heart yearns for peace. In Islam, they find that peace, a faith of simplicity and purity, worshiping one Creator, seeking sincerity in action, and showing mercy to all creation. In a society defined by materialism and constant distraction, Islam offers stillness and clarity. It calls people back to gratitude, discipline, and the remembrance of God. For women, Islam offers empowerment through dignity, defining worth not by appearance, but by purpose and belief. For men, it offers structure and direction, a path towards strength with humility. And for the youth, it provides identity, a compass to navigate a world of confusion and temptation. Across America, you will find converts describing their moment of Shahada as coming home, because for them, Islam was not something new, it was something their hearts had always known. Community and connection. As the number of Muslims grows, so too does their unity. Mosques and Islamic centers have transformed from small prayer halls into thriving community hubs. They host charity drives, food banks, youth programs, and interfaith events. They feed the hungry, support the elderly, and open their doors to curious neighbors. During Ramadan, non-Muslims are welcome to break fasts and share stories over dates and water. Eid festivals now fill public parks where Muslims from every culture celebrate as one ummah, united by the same words, La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulallah. And in the digital age, Islam spreads even further. Through YouTube, podcasts, online lectures, and social media, Dawah has become global. A person sitting alone in a small American town can now learn Islam from teachers across the world, from Cairo to Kuala Lumpur, and take Shahada online. The internet has become a bridge of faith, connecting souls beyond distance and culture. This is how Islam grows in America today,
they are vibrant
not through
community
loud
hubs,
movements,
cultural
but through
centers,
quiet
and sanctuaries of faith.
Faith under pressure. Yet Islam's journey in America has never been without challenge. For decades, Muslims have faced misunderstanding, discrimination, and suspicion. After global events, Islamophobia rose sharply. Mosques were vandalized, Muslim names were mocked, hijabs were pulled, and stereotypes filled the airwaves. But despite the storms, Muslims did not fade. They responded not with anger, but with patience, through kindness, dialogue, and education. Every act of mercy became dawah. Every open mosque day became an opportunity to replace fear with friendship. In time, the narrative began to shift. Today, more Americans than ever before personally know a Muslim, and through that connection, hearts are changing. Muslim organizations across the U.S. work tirelessly for interfaith harmony, civic engagement, and humanitarian relief. Groups like CARE, ICNA, and countless local centers continue to serve not only Muslims, but their entire communities, reflecting the true message of Islam. The best among you are those who bring the most benefit to others. Stories of transformation. Each convert's story adds a new layer to this growing faith. A young woman from Texas who once questioned religion now wears her hijab with pride. A soldier who served overseas returns home touched by the sincerity of Muslim villagers he once misunderstood. A college student, after reading the Quran, bursts into tears, realizing that he had finally found the truth he was seeking. These stories unfold quietly across America every day. They remind us that faith cannot be contained, that when the light of truth enters the heart, no power can extinguish it. Every Shahada is a victory of the soul over the chaos of the world. And every new believer adds another thread to the beautiful tapestry of American Islam. Islam and the new generation. The story of Islam in America is also the story of its youth. Second and third generation Muslims are now redefining what it means to be both Muslim and American. They are doctors, politicians, artists, and scholars, confident in their faith and proud of their homeland. They speak fluent Arabic and English, quote the Quran and the Constitution, and see no contradiction between faith and modern life. In universities, Muslim student associations thrive. In schools, Muslim children learn to pray and fast while excelling in academics. And in the workforce, Muslim professionals are shaping industries and public discourse with integrity and excellence. Through their leadership, the image of Islam in America is changing, no longer viewed as foreign, but as part of the country's moral and spiritual landscape. Interfaith dialogue continues to expand. Churches and synagogues host Muslim speakers, and mosques invite guests from every background. Through these exchanges, barriers fall and understanding grows. And as more Americans learn about Islam firsthand, they see what Muslims have always known, that our shared values of compassion, justice, and family unite us more than they divide us. The spiritual future of America. As we look toward the future, one truth becomes clear. Islam's story in America is still being written. It is the story of a nation rediscovering faith in the midst of modern chaos, a story of a people returning to God, not through force, but through conviction. And in the coming decades, Islam's influence will only deepen through education, community service, and moral leadership. The next generation will carry the torch forward, proud, faithful, and fearless in proclaiming the truth. For Islam is not just a trend, it is a return to the natural faith of humanity, to the oneness of God, and to the peace that every soul desires. And as the adhan continues to echo across American skies, in mosques, homes, and hearts, it reminds us all that the truth of La ilaha illallah transcends borders.